sitting at this truck stop, just, sitting here. I did some stuff to, went and got cleaned up and did some stuff to the truck. And here I am. I'm in. Oh, shit. Something's going to be loud here. It's my tablet hooked up to my stereo. What's going on, everybody? There's just two of you in here. Maybe I'll play a song or something, wait for some more people to come in here. Uh, got some more things that I thought about in relation to this council that Hyliion's formed. Pulled into this truck stop, and actually there was 3 Werner trucks in here and 2 Schneider trucks in here. I can't really see them from exactly where I'm at to turn the camera around so y'all can see them or whatever, but yeah, so Schneider and Werner, guys, they're big, Werner, okay, no, I talked in that last video about Schneider and about how they, like, basically will just buy up anything that gets them away from the emission systems, right? Well, and I said that I wasn't real sure about Werner and their stance, and I didn't really like do a bunch of research about Werner, but I just remembered something that years ago, like 20 years ago, okay, everybody ran paper log books, okay, we have to log everything as truck drivers. Well, years ago, Werner was the very first one to adopt the paperless electronic logs. And so I just thought that was interesting, that it might show their willingness to be the first to adopt different technologies, because they like I said, they were the very first trucking company. For many years, they were the only trucking company that was using these electronic logs. So they are a company that's willing to adopt these newer technologies into their fleets. So, thinking more about it, I can definitely see Werner also like making a big order of these and trying to put these ERX systems in their trucks, or like, I really think that the Werner and Schneider thing, and the Freightliner and Peterbilt aspect, and Daimler having worked extensively. So Daimler worked with Hyliion in the past. They were offering the hybrid electric systems. Like, I don't know if anybody or how many people got them, but Daimler, who owns Freightliner, was offering these systems. So they've worked with Hyliion already. And like I said in the other video, Freightliner used to be the only company that was installing gliders in trucks from the factory until the government quashed it. The government basically, first they limited the number of gliders that could be produced, and then they said no more mass production of gliders. So that put an end to Freightliner being able to sell gliders at the point of sale. But and now, the announcement was made. I don't know if you guys caught this, but the ERXs that are being created for these different companies in this council are going to be on Peterbilts rather than on Freightliners. So that shows that Hyliion is now also working in some capacity with Peterbilt. So when you put 2 and 2 together and you think about that, it's possible that Freightliner and Peterbilt, like, although they aren't like directly members of this council, the fact that Hyliion has already worked with Freightliner, and the first ERX was on a Freightliner, and the fact that the new ERX, the ones that they're going to be distributing in September to these companies in council, are going to be on Peterbilts, like, that kind of shows that they've already got a relationship with Freightliner, and they're putting these on Peterbilt. So they've got to have something going on with Peterbilt, at least be in talks with them or something, to have chosen to put them on Peterbilts. Like, that shows to me that there is a possibility that they're behind the scenes working toward trying to get these on Freightliners and Peterbilt stock. And that to me is the ultimate goal. If they can deal with these OEMs so that a fleet can go to Freightliner and say, we want 50 Freightliners and we want them with ERX systems in them, and they can just buy them from there, that's going to be a big deal, guys. And if it's Freightliner and Peterbilt, like if they can get that happening with both of those companies, like that's going to be a huge deal. Thank you for the super chat, JJ. I appreciate it. 360 rig. I've never heard of that. What is it? If you want to tell me in a comment, I'll get to it in a moment. And I want to stop and say hi, Ed. Hi, JJ, Thomas, Mingley, Jeffrey Richardson. What's going on, everybody? Hey, thanks for being here. I appreciate that we've got 11 people in here already. Guys, I'm so bullish on Hyliion Truck Dad. I'm so bullish on Hyliion, man. These guys are gonna revolutionize trucking. I mean, it might take a little while for it to catch on, but I think that this council they've formed is a really big deal. Like, I think the market's just holding stocks down right now, but I really think that that this council that they've formed is a big deal. One of the things that I don't really get is, why are they not working with CLNE? I mean, this American natural gas deal that they've got, I'm not really sure about it because I've never seen an ANG station at a truck stop. Truck stops have these clean energy fuels, which the ticker symbol is CLNE, are in every truck stop. And they just did a big deal with Total like several months ago to increase renewable natural gas production. Maybe it's because the only thing that I've seen is CNG in the truck stops, but I think that could easily change. And I don't see why. Maybe they tried to approach them and there was no deal that was made or something, but man, Hyliion really needs to get with CLNE because that's who is at the truck stops. You know, what's the price of the Hypertruck? I have no idea. I mean, I can tell you that you were like and compared to an ice truck, I mean, there's no pricing available yet. But the way I'm looking at it is that if you can get it, okay, if you can get the truck, Tony, from a dealer, because I think that's the ultimate goal, is to be able, because when you go to a dealer right now to buy a truck, okay, it's not like buying a car. When you buy a car, it comes with the engine it comes with. Maybe you get a 350 or a 6-cylinder or something. But when you go buy a truck, you can choose what kind of engine and transmission and rear end. So when you go into a truck, say a Kenworth to buy a truck, you can say, I want a PACCAR engine and an 18-speed transmission with 355 rear end, okay? Or you can say, I want a Cummins engine with a automatic transmission and a 430 rear end, or I don't really know the rear end ratios, but so that's already the way it works now. And the thing is that if the ERX becomes another option, that you can go to Kenworth and instead of getting a Cummins with a 13-speed, you can get the ERX system, then I don't see that it will necessarily increase the cost. It doesn't cost any more to get a Cummins over a PACCAR and an 18-speed over a 13-speed that I'm aware of. So I don't think that it would really impact the cost of the actual truck that much. But I do see that it will greatly reduce the cost of maintaining the truck, because these emission systems are a bitch. Now, of course, when it's under warranty, then it doesn't really cost you anything. But you know, beyond that, and especially when you get into the secondary market, like after Schneider buys some, you know, then offloads those into the secondary market, then owner operators start picking them up. I mean, and that doesn't take very long, guys. That's like 4 years. I mean, unless, now this is another thing, maybe trucking companies don't have to rotate out of their trucks every 3 or 4 years because of the lack of maintenance, to far fewer moving parts, and you know, just something that you have to understand about emission systems is that what an emission system on a truck does, okay, is it makes it makes the engine breathe in its own shit. It's not just like filtering the it's not just filtering the emissions, you know, like filtering the exhaust. It's feeding the dirty shit, the carbon and stuff, back into the engine. So what it does is, over time, it tears up the engine because it's putting carbon and stuff into the oil, and it's mixing in, and it's breathing in its own shit. And that's why people hate the emission system so much. It's not that they are just like, oh, I want to pump shit into the atmosphere. It's not like that. It's just that it costs so much because it tears everything up, and it greatly reduces the lifespan of the engine. And, you know, it used to be a lot worse when they first started doing it, and it's gotten better now. But the emission system still will just tear a truck up, guys. Instead of your engine going 1.5 million miles before you have to rebuild it, you're talking about 800,000 to a million you're having to rebuild your engine. So that's why a lot of these trucking companies, they keep it just until the warranty is out, and then they trade them in for another one. But if this Hyliion system, like most electric systems, will last a whole lot longer than the ICE truck, then that's another store of value, because once they get it paid off, then they get to run it with all those savings. It's just great on so many levels, guys. 22 people, hey, thanks. Yeah, DPF faults totally suck. It happened to me in this truck, and this truck isn't even 2 years old. I had a DPF fault, and it was, derated and doing 20 miles an hour on the freeway, and it ended up being due to the cold, and then I just had to do a regen once I got it all going again. But it was a pain in the ass, And if it wouldn't have just a regen fixed it, then you're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to get that shit fixed, guys. So it's a big savings just in the emission system, like not even including how bad it tears up the engine and stuff. So it's a big deal. Let me go back through some of these comments here. Throw me some super chats, guys. Super chat questions go to the front of the line. What's my position in Hyliion at the moment? At the moment, I have, what is it? 120 shares. I upped my position. Actually, no, 140 shares. I upped my position the other day to 90 shares. I'm waiting to get another 10 as soon as I can to bring it up to 100. But that's where I'm at right now. I have 90 shares in my Roth, and I have 50 shares in the small long-term account. Rig 360 is a service dealer. No, I've never dealt with them. I drive pretty much a brand new truck, man, so I don't really have to do service very often. And when I do, it's usually at a Kenworth because it's warranty, JJ. The price in the investor slides was like $220,000. And maybe that's true if it's after, if you put it in afterwards. But if there's a way to get it from the dealer, Honey Bader, ends up being a way to get it from the dealer, then it probably won't be that expensive. And trucks are expensive as fuck anyway. I mean, testing with Cat and Wegmans going, or Ed, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I assume you mean for the hybrid electric system. And I'm just not a big fan of the hybrid electric system. I had somebody make a comment the other day saying that there was somebody who had said that the estimates of the fuel savings were not correct, and I've seen that before. But I'm betting on the ERX. I don't care anything about that hybrid electric system. Let's see. Good evening from the UK. Hi, Free Trade. Yeah, crypto. I've said many times. I've always talked about when I've bought it and how much I have. I have, like I said before, I have 90 shares right now in the Roth and 50 in my small long-term account. And I plan to bring that up to 100 in the Roth real soon. That's basically a full position for me is about 100 shares. 140 shares at what price? Okay, so what was it in the long-term account? I think the 50 shares in the long-term account are like 1240 or something, And then the ones in the Roth, I believe I've gotten it down to 1150, somewhere around there. How do you have more shares than me and you're bullish and I'm bullish? Bro, I only got what money I've got, man. I don't have a huge account. I'm not these guys who have millions of dollars in the market. Okay, like I'm not a rich dude. I have my total net worth between both accounts and my 401k is probably 13,000. So, I mean, I don't have a giant account. What's up with sun power? It's just being held up like everything else. I mean, that's all there is to it. Thanks, Thomas. Thanks for the $5 super chat. I appreciate it. You should include a question with it. Your question goes to the top of the list with that super chat. But thank you, man. I really appreciate that $5. You guys see that last video I did? I've had that idea in my head for a while. Are there any Fed credits for RNG? I really don't know. He is focusing on clean energy. There's just so much more that they're focusing on right now that it's not the number one focus, at the moment. So there hasn't been a whole lot of talk about it. But RNG is definitely, somebody turned me on to RICE, and I checked that out, and it's a big collaboration. They're merging two companies, and they're going to be like the biggest RNG producer from landfills. And guys, especially when Hyliion hits the road and when they see that there's something out there that's using more of it, I think that the production's going to get more. And when CLNE, Clean Energy Fuels, who is the company that has the natural gas fueling stations at Flying J's, when they realize that there's going to be a demand now, I guarantee you they probably see it coming, and that's why they did the deal with Total to increase RNG production, because they probably see the writing on the wall. And I would not be surprised if Hyliion had already contacted them trying to get them in on this council or something like that, and for some reason they turned it down. But they've got to see the writing on the wall and start putting the RNG in those things, because that as Hyliion starts to, as the ERX starts to proliferate throughout the trucking industry, which is a year or two off. I mean, it's a couple years down the road before it starts proliferating throughout the system. They're going to have to increase the number of fueling stations. They're going to have to increase the amount of RNG that's dedicated to this particular space. And maybe A&G is working on something and hoping to get some deal with another chain of truck stops, because it's Pilot Flying J, really Flying J, that they're both owned by the same people. It's really Flying J that has all of the natural gas fueling stations out here on the road. And they're not at every Flying J, but Love's and TA and Petro do not. None of them have it. So maybe American Natural Gas might strike some kind of a deal, because TA and Petro have really big parking lots, and it wouldn't be inconceivable for them to actually have enough space to put a natural gas fueling station on their lots. Love's, typically their parking lots are a little smaller, and it's not necessarily realistic for them to buy more property to expand it, and it's also not really realistic for them to get rid of parking places, because we need those parking places. And so it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I think that RNG is on the rise. There's, like I said, the deal between Total and CLNE was to increase renewable natural gas, and then this RICE SPAC is two companies merging to pretty much, I mean, at least as far as the literature that I read was concerned, that they're going to try to dominate the RNG space. But the thing about that RICE thing was that I saw that like 75% or more of the RNG that they produce is already dedicated to certain things. So only about 25% of it is like would be something that would be available for a new venture. But I'd like to see it, and I'm sure if the Hyliion thing starts to take off, or when the Hyliion thing starts to take off, we're going to see an increase in these fueling stations. Thanks for super chat, JJ. I appreciate it, man. Watching too much Meet Kevin. I think everyone has $1 million to invest, right? I don't have it, guys. I've just started on this investing journey and trying to build a retirement. I was a late starter for retirement, and so I've got a lot of catch up to do. And I was joking with that last little short video that I made, but it isn't inconceivable that I could end up under a bridge eating cat food or some shit like that in my retirement if I don't get on the ball and make some real moves. And that's what started me down this whole rabbit hole and started me on this whole journey. So, I am hoping to get more people in the Patreon and do more of these live streams to build up a little super chat money and just increase the revenue from the YouTube. And like I've said before, a lot of you guys may not know, I've opened an account with M1 Finance, and I plan to put anything that I make from the YouTube and the Patreon and all that stuff into that M1 Finance account so it can be its own separate thing. I'm about to start building a pie and deciding what stocks are going to go in there, and possibly some ETFs and stuff, and then all of the YouTube money from this channel and from my other channel will go into that, and we'll be able to watch it grow. And once we get a few more people in the Patreon, we got 4 Patreon members right now, and thank you guys so much for being patrons. I really appreciate it. Really cool to see J Mac investing in there as one of my patrons. Once we get some more, I'm going to start posting screenshots. It'll just be from my phone, but screenshots of my accounts, and show you guys, I guess proof is in the pudding, to show you guys my positions and stuff like that, which, like I said, I don't have a whole lot in the market. My small cash account that I use for long-term stuff, that one's about $1,800. It's close to $2,000. And then my Roth IRA right now is about $9,600, something like that. And then I've got a 401k through my job, but I only put just a bare minimum in that to get the match, so it doesn't have much in it. And then this M1 Finance that I'm starting, it's going to be a cash account, not a retirement account. I'm going to throw all the YouTube stuff in there and allow it to grow. If we get some more people in the Patreon and stuff, then I may figure some way out for people to participate in choosing what I'm putting in the pie, at least to a certain extent. But for now, I'm just going to build a pie. I think it's cool, the M1 Finance pies, that you can build a pie with all the stocks and distribute the percentages, and then every time you deposit into it, it just spreads it out with fractional shares or whatever. And so that's what I plan to do with the YouTube money. I'm going to build some kind of a pie, and then I'm going to start dumping it in there, and then we'll be able to track it and see how it does going forward. Thank you, Tony. $5, another $4.99. Thank you, man. Thank you for all your information. You're a cool cat, bullish on Hyliion, 100 shares, short of 1,000. Nice, man. I wish I had enough to buy that much. But yeah, you're welcome, man. I'm enjoying doing the channel, and even though I'm not pumping out tons of stocks like some of these other channels, that's just not what I plan to do. I'm gonna just talk about my journey and what I'm buying. Maybe we can, figure it out together. Yeah. What do I think of Nikola? I've said this multiple times. I think Nikola is garbage. I would not spend a penny on that stock. And even if I did like the company, hydrogen is 10 years away. We're not going to see hydrogen trucks running down the road for 10 years. And I don't have that kind of a investment time horizon. And if you think about it, how is that company going to survive for the next 10 years until hydrogen is a valid thing? You really think they're going to make it for 5 or 10 years without a product and still exist? I don't know, man. I got no Hyliion has no future against a fully electric truck. Man, you don't know what you're talking about saying that, Adam. You really don't know what you're talking about. You need to go back, watch my other videos, and then you'll see. A fully electric truck will not work for long haul trucking, period. And until they get some way to lighten the batteries to get us 1,000 miles of range, and they have charging stations all over the country. Right now, there's no place to charge it, not a single place to charge an electric truck. Okay, and you can't just put it in a few select places. If you want long haul truckers to be able to charge a truck, they have to be able to do it all over the country at truck stops, not at shippers, not at random places. They have to be at truck stops all over the U.S. because we don't know where we're going to be next week or in 3 days. Like, we may have a load that's 3 days, but then they send us somewhere totally different. We may be in Podunk, Dodge City, Kansas, where there's a population of 5,000, and we have to be able to charge that truck. Electric is not going to work, man. I mean, not for many years, okay? What it will work for is what Tesla's getting orders for, Pepsi. Pepsi doesn't do long haul. They're not going to put that in long haul trucks. Pepsi is going to put that in those trucks of those guys who go home every night, come to work, and then go hump 12 packs around town at convenience stores all day. That it will work for. You can put a charger at the yard, you go park your truck, you're only doing 150 miles a day because you're going humping 12 packs around town. That an electric truck will work for. But real truck drivers, like, that is not a viable solution. How do you, and I've had a lot of people say, well, there's not a whole lot, there's not as many as you're saying of long haul truckers. I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to show you something, okay? Now, I hope you can see this. Okay, you see, maybe you can't. You see that truck right there? You see how the back of the actual truck part is really long and it's got windows? Okay, that means that they have a sleeper. So when you're running around in your four-wheeler, okay, I want you to just do this. I want you to look at the trucks that are driving on the road, okay, and then figure out how many of them have a long back portion to the actual truck, not the trailer, with a window on it. Okay, those guys who are driving a truck like that, 90% of those are long haul truck drivers. And an electric solution will not work for them. Now, when you see trucks that don't have that, and they have a back window right behind their head that they can see through, those are local drivers and short haul drivers. Those guys go home every night, okay? Those guys are only driving 200-300 miles a day. They can use a fully electric truck. Now, I want you to, when you're driving down the road, I want you to just take notice of how many trucks have the short cab with the window behind them, so they don't have anywhere to sleep. That means they go home every night. And how many trucks you see with the long back that has a sleeper back there. And those guys who have a sleeper on their truck are over-the-road truck drivers. And, you know, people argue with me and they say, well, there's not as many of those as you say they are. I'm telling you, like, pretend like you're a truck driver and call a trucking company, okay? Look at a trucking company and it'll say, dedicated, home every week, and, you know, all this available. You go and call them and say, well, what kind of dedicated? Can I get home every night? And you know, can I get home? And they're going to say, oh, all we're looking for is over the road. They say all that, but they trying to keep you out there 2 or 3 weeks at a time, okay? I'm out 6 weeks at a time, and I'm on a dedicated route. So I could be home every couple weeks, but you can't make no money that way. So I'm just saying that fully electric trucks will not work for long haul and regional type truckers. Go back through these. Sorry, looking through these comments here. Take out a personal loan. Yeah. Take out a personal loan for $25K in day trade. Yeah, that'd be real fucking smart. That's be about the stupidest thing you could do right there. Don't be a dumbass. Hey, Hamster. What's up, man? Thanks for being here. Hamster's my very first patron over on the Patreon, guys. Y'all go join the fucking Patreon, man. Don't be cheap, motherfuckers. Y'all all got some money. Y'all, every one of y'all is an investor. Y'all can bust me off $2 a month to help with my retirement. Don't make me real talk y'all's ass. And any of y'all see that little short video I made? A funny video? No, it was meant to be funny. I thought it was funny as hell. Iron, yes, there will be a time when hydrogen, if it ever catches on, if that ever happens, Hyliion will easily be able to convert over to it. But it's stupid to focus only on hydrogen right now because it's just too far off. It's too expensive. It's too far off. And it's why they're the only game in town. They're the only one that's going to be successful. Adam says, too bad for Tesla. Tesla is, don't get me wrong, man. I'm bullish on Tesla too. And the Tesla Semi, I expect it to do well because they're going to get customers like what they're targeting. You know, Pepsi made some orders. You might get some Coca-Cola, some Lay's, some, you know, all kinds of companies need short, local type trucks. And I have no doubt that Tesla is going to take a large portion of the market share. The thing is that it doesn't have to be a one or the other. There's plenty of market share to go around, okay? Both of them can succeed and do well. My Patreon is 14. No, my Patreon, I don't have any limits or any tiers or anything. You should be able to just donate whatever you donate. I'm not super familiar with Patreon, but I know that I have a $2.50 patron. So, I mean, I don't know what the minimum is or if there is a minimum, Mingley. Do I think Hyliion will overcome Tesla? I don't think that it has to be that, Kevin. Like, really. Like, there's plenty of room for 2, 3, 4 companies, and there's only 2, you know, and there's plenty of room. Like, you just don't know how many. Just this council that Hyliion has created represents 100,000 trucks, okay? And that's only like 10 companies, guys. And these companies like aren't even the largest. So there's plenty of room for more players in the field, and it doesn't mean that one is going to not make it. You know, there's plenty of room for multiple companies to succeed. What price is Tesla a buy? I think that right now it's a buy. I think that pretty much, you know, my cost basis on Tesla is over 800. So I'm down in it right now, and I still think 800 is a good price. I totally see them over 1,000 by the end of the year. You know, right now we're just like some growth is suffering, and you know, it's just a cycle of the market, and it will all be back. And I really think that Tesla will be over 1,000 before the end of the year. My pleasure, Kevin. My Patreon is 14. That's bothering me. I know I have one that's 250, and you know, JMac is $5, and I think the other 3 are all $5. So I know it's not 14. You must just be looking at it wrong there, Mingley. So what else? Lordstown, guys. What about Lordstown, man? I mean, I know that a lot of people on my channel are focused on Hyliion, but there's more than one stock in the market, and Lordstown, guys. JJ, I know it, and you just got it. Like, as a truck driver myself, like, you just have to. JJ said these guys who have never touched a truck trying to tell a trucker how trucking works. You know, it's just normal. It's just normal. You know, people don't understand trucking, and they think they do, and you know, they think they kind of have an idea of how it works, when really, you know, most people don't have a clue what it's like for us. Like, Half of them don't even realize that we live in our trucks out here for weeks and weeks at a time. You know, I mean, I'm out 6 weeks, no hotels. I live in this truck for 6 weeks. I go home for 4 days and I come back out for another 4 to 6 weeks. Fender or Gibson? Man, there is no like Fender and Gibson, bro. Like, I love my Fender, my Stratocaster, but like different styles of music have different requirements for guitars. So if you're doing blues, country, some rock, then Fender is good. If you're doing rock, hard rock, stuff like that, Gibson is better. You can get a Fender with humbuckers. It's about the pickups. You can get a Fender with humbuckers, but you know, I have been a Les Paul guy for years. It's only been the last few years that I've really started digging Fenders as my tastes have kind of changed, but I've been a Les Paul guy for years. So I love both. My next guitar, I've told my buddy who's my bass player that you know, I've got everything. I've got all my Fender stuff that I want now, and you know, my next purchase as far as guitars goes will be a Les Paul style guitar, not necessarily a Les Paul, and another type of amp. Like right now, I have a really nice Fender Hot Rod Tweed Edition, blow your eardrums out loud tube amp, and my Stratocaster. And I got a bunch of other stuff too, and I got some other guitars too, and a bass and stuff. But yeah, and I have a Les Paul style guitar, but it needs a lot of work. And I actually went to a buddy of ours who's kind of a hobbyist luthier, trying to have some stuff done to it, and he said it was a little too much work than what he is comfortable doing, the stuff that I wanted done to it. So I'm thinking now I probably will just buy something else. Even though like I love that guitar, I've played that guitar in a lot of gigs and stuff, and like I wanted to preserve it, but it is an off-brand guitar, and you know, even though I love it, I'll end up going a different direction and probably giving it to my kid or something. Six weeks out, 4 days at home is a good company to work for. Well, most guys don't like it. And it's not their choice, that's my choice. I could go home every 2 weeks if I wanted to, but you know, like, you go home, you work 2 weeks, you go home for a couple of days, then you fuck that next paycheck up, and then so it takes you a couple of weeks. And you know, I like to get a string of full paychecks, get some money built up, invest some money and stuff like that before I go home. That way, because I don't keep an address, so I stay in a hotel when I go back home and see my kid. And so I like to have a big wad of cash built up, and if I want to continue to dump as much money into the stock market as I have been, then I need that extra time on the road. And you know, I don't have a house, I don't have anything I really have to take care of there except for seeing my kid and you know, visiting with friends and stuff. So 6 weeks out is not a big deal. And I used to always do 4 weeks, and then I kind of extended it to around 6. But then this last time I had to go in for work on my APU, right? And it took like 5 or 6 days. I think it was 7 days, and really kind of screwed me, even though they paid me $50 a day, but that's nothing, you know. And then now my APU is screwing up again, and I'm going to try to make it a week, but I'm going to have to take some early home time to get it worked on again. And I just know it's going to be another 5-day ordeal. It's going to piss me off. It slows me down my investing, and pisses me off. But I'm actually considering changing to lease at my company, which means that I would be leasing the truck from them, and instead of getting paid a mileage pay, I'd get paid like 65% of whatever the loads pay, and make a lot more money that way. Now, it messes up all the taxes. You have to do that all yourself. You're an independent contractor, and you lose some things, but you gain more money. So if I go lease, I'm hoping I'll be able to dump even more in the stock market. And if I do like a 401, an individual 401k type thing, then I can go put money in there pre-tax and cut down the amount of taxes I have to pay. Since I'm so focused on investing, a lot of guys get in trouble with their taxes because they just go out and blow all that money that they make as a lease driver. But if I'm dumping in the stock market, I don't have to pay taxes on that, at least not yet, you know. So I've got some thoughts. I don't know that I'll do that for certain. It's difficult out here on the road. You got so much time to just think that you come up with all these harebrained schemes and ideas, because all you're doing is just driving around. You know, you're just by yourself for weeks and weeks at a time, and the brain, the gears are just turning all the time, guys. Let me look through these comments, see if there's anything I missed. Send me a super chat if you want your question answered for sure. I think this is the most people I've ever had in a live stream. Thanks a lot, guys, for being here. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys' support. That one share of NGA Hamster is going to give me that guitar. We'll see. I did buy it. I still have it. Yes, the company, Thomas, the company that I work for does offer a 401k. I put just barely enough in there to get the match. And then my retirement account is a Roth IRA because it's tax-free. I can, in a 401k, you're limited to trading, especially when it's through a company, you're limited to just investing in some mutual funds that they've picked. So I don't like that. And in the Roth IRA, I put the money in there after taxes, and then I can do whatever I want with it. And when I withdraw it, when I retire, it'll be 100% tax-free. Now, I can't put more than $6,000 a year in there, but, you know, whatever else, I can put in a cash account, or, you know, like I say, I could increase my 401k contributions after I max it out if I wanted to, but I won't. I'll put it in the cash account, and the cash account is what I use for long term. You can watch some of my earlier videos about trading in a Roth IRA and why I think that the strategy that I'm using is better than what financial advisors will tell you, because a financial advisor is going to tell you to max out a Roth IRA, don't ever touch anything in there, use it for your long term, and if you want to trade around, use a cash account. Well, if you trade around in a cash account, it's just fucking taxes every time you do something. I can trade however many times I want in and out of stocks in the same month, and there's no taxes associated with it in that Roth. Now, I can't touch the gains until I retire, but since that's my goal anyway, like, that doesn't bother me. And I can always take out, like, however much I've actually physically put in there tax-free. So yeah, that's the strategy for me. And then I do the long-term stuff in a cash account, and then I don't owe any taxes on it unless I sell it. And that to me seems like the better strategy. If you're not trying to make money to spend next year, and you're trying to build a wealth for retirement, like, that feels to me like the best strategy. And you just don't ever touch the stuff in the cash account. And then when you're older, or you're ready to retire, or even if you just want to sell it, then you just pay the long-term capital gains tax on it, which, by the way, is cheaper than tax on income. So when if you have a 401k and you put a bunch of money in there, when you retire, you've got to pay taxes on that money like income. So if you would have instead put that money and bought the same things in a cash account, you'll only pay the long-term capital gains tax, which is less, theoretically. Okay, I'm not a financial advisor. I am not your mama. Grant, what's up, man? Fellow truck driver in New Zealand. It's so cool being able to connect with people all over the place here. I do not use Robinhood crypto. I have Fidelity for my Roth, and then I have Webull for my small long-term account. And then now I've opened an account with M1 Finance that I plan to use for YouTube money, Patreon money, and put that in its own account. I'm going to build a pie, and I'll be able to, talk about it in videos. It just gives me a way to track the support that you guys have given me, and how hopefully we're able to turn that into more. Webull or Webull? Hamster. I just, like, guys, I'm not I'm not the type of person that wants to pump the Weeble and pump and have a Discord and all that stuff. The Patreon is just because if you like the guys if you like the content and you like the real talk, I would appreciate your support. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to create these secret back channels and try to, make money off of Weeble and make money off of paid promotions and shit. I'm just not going to do all that stuff. You know what I mean? If you guys want to help support the channel, join the Patreon. Throw me a super chat, watch the videos, and that's pretty much it. I mean, that's just thoughts on Robinhood. It's all right, I guess. You can't make a Roth on there, and I like to trade tax free, so it's not for me. And I really kind of like. I don't know. Robinhood, I've seen a lot. I haven't seen it lately, but in some of the Facebook groups and stuff I've seen it go down on people before, like not just when we're talking about the GameStop thing, but before that, like I'd seen it like where the app crashed and people couldn't buy and sell stocks. And I don't know, man. I just don't know how much I trust Robinhood, to be honest with you. I started an account on there and I looked at it, and I just feel it is not tax-free crypto. Robinhood is not tax-free. No trading outside of retirement accounts is tax-free ever. So crypto, you need to get your facts straight. You better do some research about taxes, or that shit, thinking that is going to bite you in the ass. Every time you sell a stock for a gain, there is a tax associated with that. Unless you make like under 40,000, I think it is, a year total from your job and the trading, I think maybe then you can get away. Bro, okay. I'm going to have to, yeah. I'm going to have to stop responding to somebody. Don't make me get real talk on your ass. Accounting degree, you'd probably be capitalizing your sentences properly and fucking not saying stupid shit on a YouTube video. How about that? If you like the real talk, join the Patreon and throw me a fucking super chat. Thanks, Theta. I appreciate you being here. Have I ever talked with any truck driver who's using or testing Hyliion product? There's no such thing like out here on the road. There's no such thing as a driver who's using or testing a Hyliion product. So let me be clear, caller. Hyliion has barely installed any of those hybrid electric systems, and personally I think they're kind of garbage, and the ERX has not been released yet. So I mean, they might have installed 20, 25 total of those hybrid electric systems, and the only ones that I've seen are on local trucks. So, you're not going to see any of that out here on the road. It's only when that ERX comes out that it'll be out here on the road. And the truth is that depending on how it's installed, and you may not even know it's on a truck, unless they, it's. I'm sure that the demonstration models that they're releasing, I'm sure those will be painted up with Hyliion probably. But once it actually comes out, I doubt seriously that it'll, that they'll be branded, unless there's maybe a little. Sometimes there'll be a little sticker on the side that says something, Hamster man, I really think that we're going to see some real movement in Hyliion towards the end of the year, like after they release these demonstration models. I think that we'll see some more PR and we'll see the stock rise some, maybe get back up into the 20s. But I really do think that it's going to be next year, maybe middle to late next year, before it really becomes some on the road. Like they've been testing it just the one truck for a while, the ERX here that I'm talking about. I'm not bullish on the hybrid system, guys. the one that they put on the back tires and all that. Like, I think that's garbage. I don't think that that's going to be something that people are going to buy. I just don't. Okay. But the ERX is another story. And so, once they get through this testing, because, these demonstration units, it's going to take a while for them to, for these companies, these 10 companies, to run them and give feedback, and for them to decide if they need to make changes, and before they actually release it for public sale. Now, how long that'll take and when that might happen, I don't know, but I suspect it'll be next year sometime. And at that point, then all bets are off, and it really just depends on what kind of orders start rolling in. I don't know if they'll start getting orders like toward the end of this year, or I don't have a crystal ball, you know what I mean? But I do expect that we'll see some price movement to the upside in the last quarter of this year, and then, who knows exactly when, but I feel like we're going to get quite a bit more price movement next year. So it's not a short-term investment, that's for sure. Greetings, MS. I'm glad you enjoy the channel, man. I'm glad you like it. CCIV, Jeffrey, I am not bullish on CCIV like a lot of people are. Like, I mean, they've run up so much on just rumor and speculation. Like, they have not announced any kind of full self-driving or any kind of software package. They do not have an operating factory, yet they were trying to say they were going to be releasing cars this year, and everybody was running the stock up, and then now they pushed it back and they're not going to release cars this year, and the cars are going to be super expensive, so they're not going to be able to sell very many of them, and nobody has driven or tested the car at all. So it's like, I'm not bullish on CCIV. Like, I think Lordstown Motors is in a much better position than CCIV. They have a niche with the pickup truck thing. They have a giant factory that's fully outfitted with a production line and ready to start spitting trucks out. They're, the stock is ridiculously cheap right now, and like that's where my money is. Okay, Hyliion, Lordstown Motors. They both have a niche, Hyliion with the trucks, and they're the only person that's going to be able to be viable for long haul trucks. And then Lordstown is the only company that's going to be putting out a work truck, a pickup truck. Now, I've seen people make arguments about GM and Ford jumping into the game, and they will eventually. And GM has talked about, jumping into the game, but we're talking 2 or 3 years from now, And Ford, like, what happened with their Mach-E? Like, the cars are fucking turning into bricks right now. Like, some kind of problem that's just basically bricking the car. And they're like, oh, well, later this year we'll have a fix for it. And like, okay, well, these motherfuckers are just supposed to sit there with this car that don't work for the next 6 months or whatever. Like, Ford and GM, like, I think that they will eventually, like, be big players in this space, but they ain't ready yet, guys. And Lordstown fixed to start pumping out trucks, like, this year. All right, and I don't care. Everybody said, oh, they may not make. Maybe they don't. Maybe something in the crash testing holds them back, and they don't do it until the beginning of next year. Either way, they're going to be putting trucks out there before GM and Ford, and the Cybertruck. Like, they ain't gonna buy that for work trucks. That's a spaceship. They ain't gonna buy that for a work truck. I love Tesla. I'm invested in Tesla. And although I don't really care for the Cybertruck personally, I'm sure a lot of people do. But I'm just saying that it's not a work truck. DOT, Department of Transportation, cities, fleets are not going to buy that truck to haul supplies around to job sites and run around with 2x4s in the back. They're not going to buy that for that. Lordstown is the only ones that's making a work truck, and they're fixing to start spitting them out. I don't care what Hindenburg says. And really, that whole Hindenburg thing, guys, like, everything in there is just like, well, we called somebody and they said this, and we talked to this person and they said this and they said that. what a court of law would call hearsay, motherfucker. You know, where's the proof at? I tell you where the proof at. Go look on their fucking on Lordstown's YouTube and go watch those videos of them fucking production line and them welding robots fucking putting the door and welding it, and you know that's real. That's the reality. Is that, you know, and that's something I haven't talked about in relation to Lordstown Motors. Is that, like, something that they've said and something that's true is that why the reason that we don't see small companies producing vehicles, okay, like we see some of these EV companies and they're like hand building and stuff like that, but the only way that you get consistent results and car and vehicles that last for years, that, you know, don't have like this one had a fucked up thing and this one had a fucked up thing, the only way you get consistency is by having that robot fucking production line. And with the exception of Tesla, Lordstown Motors is the only ones that have that. Okay, they have a 6 million square foot General Motors plant that already has stamping, robots, fucking the whole production line shebang, and it's already putting out trucks. Like, already these betas that they just revealed were the first two to fully roll off the production line. They did not build those by hands. The robots did that. And now they're supposed to be putting out one a day ever since then until they get to 57, and those are for crash testing. So as far as I can tell, the only stage that they still have left is this crash and safety testing. And, you know, while, you know, I can't see them completely failing it. I mean, maybe they don't get a AAA super duper badass safety rating or whatever, but I can't see them just straight up failing it. And as long as they make it through the crash testing, like, there we go. Lordstown Motors ready to start spitting out trucks, guys. Did I get another super chat that I missed? These comments don't always show up when I'm doing it like this. It looks like I got another one that I missed. Oh, wow. I definitely saw that one. I'm trying to find you here, whoever dropped that last super chat. These comments are hard on this. Frost Cyclone, $3. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. The race will give Ride a little pop this week. I'm hoping so. I'm looking forward to the race, man. Have any of you guys looked into this San Felipe Baja 250 that Lordstown is racing? They're racing it this coming Saturday. And it's a super grueling, crazy course, guys. Like, half the vehicles that enter it don't even make it. They tear their shit up before they even finish it. And Lordstown is racing the endurance in it. And yeah, sure. I mean, people say, well, it's going to be modified. Of course it is. Like, you cannot run a stock vehicle on that course. No way. They have to, like, beef up the suspension, and I'm sure there's rules they can't have. They're going to have the windows cut out of it and stuff. The concept image that they showed was basically, it had a body and it had no windows and stuff, because you can't run a course like that with glass all around you and stuff. And the normal suspension in a truck is not going to withstand that. So there has to be modifications made, but they've already said that they're not going to beef up the battery pack, so they're going to have to stop and charge during it. So they're not going to beef up the battery pack. They're not making changes to the software or to the hub motors, or so we're going to see if this thing can hold up. You know, the main thing that some people are skeptical about is the fact that it uses these hub motors. So the only four moving parts on the vehicle are the wheels. The motors sit behind the tire, and so they're what's called unsprung weight, meaning that they're on the outside of the suspension instead of on the inside of the suspension. So the motor doesn't sit still. The motor jiggles around with the tires. So they're worried about that causing issues with the motors. So if it makes it through this, if you haven't gone and looked at some footage of this Baja 250, If those hub motors make it through that, like, nobody's going to put it through that kind of punishment on job sites. Uh, I'm looking forward to this race and the outcome and seeing some footage and stuff. I think the hub motor is really good too, Thomas. And I think you're right. This race is going to be a real test of those hub motors and what they can, and if they, have some. It won't necessarily show longevity. How long will they last before they have to be replaced? But it will definitely show durability. And I mean, if there's only 4 real things to go wrong with the vehicle, like, how much of a big deal is it if you have to replace them every 150,000 miles or something? I mean, if you have to replace one every once in a while. I agree, Jeffrey. They got some real balls, and that's one of the things that makes me like confident, is that if they have the balls to enter this truck that everybody's so skeptical about into this race and run it through this fucking brutal ass course, like, they got confidence in that. You know what I mean? Like, why would they enter it into a race like that where, if they weren't confident in it? I mean, that would just be like the worst business decision ever. So, well, and that's the thing, Thomas, is that they probably can. I mean, not as easy as a tire, but yeah, I'm sure it's not beyond the realm of possibility for those motors to be replaced pretty fucking easily. I mean, it's what you got to fucking plug and some bolts. I mean, a lot easier than changing an engine or something. That's for damn sure. I mean, join the fucking Patreon, guys. Come on, support me. You know you enjoy this content and the real talk, and I won't cuss you out as much if you join it. Or if you throw me a super chat, I will cuss somebody out that come in here talking stupid shit, but y'all will enjoy seeing that. You know what I mean? It's worth it. Y'all join. See, Hamster says join. Hamster was my very first patron, guys. Very first patron. Hamster's number 1. And J-Mac Investing was number 2. He might have been number 3. He might have been number 3. Yeah, I like that too, Thomas, that if one of the hub motors were to go out, it can run on 3. If 2 of them was to go out, they can run on 2. If 3 of them was going out, they can run on 1. And it's all software controlled, and it can adjust. Now, would you want to run on 1? No, but at 2, I mean, my truck is 4-wheel drive, but most of the time I'm running 2, my pickup truck. I like it. I really like it. I'm in a Kenworth T680 2019. Their Grant. Yeah, it would be weird not to have all the noise, but I want to. You're still going to have noise with the Hyliion system. I mean, because they've got the natural gas generator. I don't know how quiet or noisy that'll be when it kicks on to charge the batteries. And since it's a only like a 35 mile battery, it'll be kicking on. Every 20 minutes it'll kick on and charge, and I don't know how long it'll take to charge, or I mean, I don't have any of that information. It's going to be interesting to find out. It's just an exciting time. Ooh, good luck with that, Andrew. And I'm not real bullish on ArcX. I'm scared of that one. It doesn't feel like there's any money in space to me. So good luck. I really do hope that works out for you. I'm not throwing money into it. I'm thinking about putting some ARC stuff in the M1 finance pie that I'm making for the YouTube money and stuff and Patreon money. But it'll probably be ARC K and ARC maybe Arc G, Arc F. Those three are the ones that I like. Anybody look at GoPro stock? Anybody? I've kind of looked at that and watched some stuff on it lately, and I'm kind of considering it as an option. It apparently when it IPO'd, it jumped real high and then went down real low, and everybody lost confidence in it. And now they're like, they're making some real changes in their business model. They're like uh, introducing subscription services and an app and all this stuff that really seems interesting. And with everything opening back up, we're going to see more of these large outdoor events and stuff like that. I could see GoPro doing something. They've been on kind of a little bit of a run, and I've seen a couple people that are pretty bullish on it. It seems pretty interesting to me. And then somebody had pointed out SOXL, which is a triple leveraged, that's SOXL, yeah, that's a triple leveraged semiconductor ETF. That one seems pretty interesting to me too. I'm still kind of working on doing research in the semiconductor area, and if I really do decide that I think that semiconductors are going to blow up over the next year or two, that SOXL could be those triple leverage funds are dangerous, but if things like if the semiconductor industry like does really well over the next year, that triple leveraged fund might do 3 times as well. So it's kind of a risk, but it's interesting to me. No problem, Renee. Join when you want. It'll be up later if you want to go back and watch it. Thank you, Martin. I appreciate you increasing that to $5. Martin's another one of my patrons. Thank you. I appreciate that, Martin. And the rest of you guys, I'm going to keep saying it. Join the fucking Patreon. Don't be cheap motherfuckers. Y'all all have a bunch of money, investors and shit. Y'all got bigger portfolios than I do. Help an old fucking truck driver that hasn't provided for his future yet to build a retirement. Like, support the channel. I'm pumping out content almost every day, and I know a lot of people enjoy it, so support the channel. Throw me a super chat, join the Patreon, keep watching the videos. That helps too, you know what I mean? But all these little bumps really help me, like, try to dump more money into my retirement. And I'm going to put it in there in such a way that we can look at it and see what it's doing, and see if it's growing, and think of different ways to invest it. And if we get more patrons, get more people in the Patreon, we'll talk about ways that you guys can participate in how that YouTube money is invested. Thank you, Mingley. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. $2 super chat. Thank you. All right, Iron. Have a good day. If younger people would invest early, they'd be millionaires. Man, you're not kidding there. It's just been this last couple of years that I've come to that realization. I really wish I would have put money away earlier. Like, with the fact, I don't know if you guys know, but I have type 2 diabetes, and that's going to, at some point, make it so I can't drive trucks anymore. And so it's a ticking, it's time sensitive for me, and I'm really wishing that I would have been putting money away all these years. If you are younger, don't just trade just for now. Like, put some money into a Roth IRA and do some long-term stuff too, man. So any of you guys are younger, y'all really need to be doing that. You'll regret it if you don't do it when you're my age. You'll regret it, because now I'm like scrambling to try to make sure that, if my type 2 diabetes, if I fail a DOT physical, which is coming up soon, or something like that, it could really screw me from trying to continue to drive trucks. And if that happened, like, I know we joke on that last video, go live with your mama and stuff like that, but I'll be fucked. I mean, if that happens, and it will eventually happen. So that's why I'm just really scrambling so hard to throw all the money I can into retirement. Yeah, Walker, it isn't a joke. I mean, the type 2, I mean, type 1 is worse, but the type 2, it's the silent, slow thing, you know what I mean? And I'm not what I would consider overweight. I do have a little bit of a belly, but I'm lucky I don't have the purple leg stuff and all that, but I have serious problems with my feet, with the neuropathy that once it happens, it never goes away, obviously. And, it definitely, like, I can't do local stuff anymore. I can't drive a concrete truck. I can't drive a concrete pump because there's just too much standing and climbing and stuff like that that I can't do anymore, which is basically why I came back on the road, because this is something that I can do that my feet don't stop me from doing. And the dietary thing, like when I was off the road, I was doing a lot with the diet and it was helping, but now on the road, like, it's impossible to live keto out here. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't drink sugary drinks. They're all sugar free, and I have sugar free snacks and candy and stuff. And but it's the carbs that you can't get away from out here on the road. Like, everything is carbs, and I have a refrigerator and I buy stuff, but I still, sandwiches got to have some bread, and even though I get some that's lower carb, you're still eating the carbs. I mean, there's just no way around it out here on the road. I know, hamster, the cheesesteaks when I go to that one truck stop, and I do. The bread hurts me, and I try to limit it, but and like I said, I buy a certain kind of bread that has about half the carbs as regular bread. I would try to buy the carb free, more or less, bread, but you have to freeze it and keep it frozen, and I can't do that out here. And I don't even care that it's like $12 a fucking loaf for a little bitty loaf, but I just don't have a way to keep it. It has to be frozen, and it's just. I'm not married. I'm divorced, and I'm not gonna not recommend it. All right, if you find the right person, get married. That's fine. Especially, some people are better at it than others. It's not necessarily that I'm not good at it, but what I am good at is trying to stay friends with people after something happens. And so I'm still friends with my ex-wife, and then my girl who I was together with for 8 years and we split up before I came back on the road. Still been friends with her, so I don't allow the big drama stuff to ruin my life. And if you can do that, then marriage could be okay for you. At this point, I'm old and toothless, and I doubt that I will end up like finding somebody to be married to again, especially like being a truck driver. Where am I going to fucking meet somebody? You know what I mean? So, and I've reserved myself to be okay with that. You need recommendations on a lot lizard? Yeah, a lot lizards don't really exist anymore, Mingley. Like 20 years ago, you couldn't beat them off your truck with a baseball bat just every 30 minutes. But now, like, I haven't seen one, not one, in the 2 years I've been back on the road. They've really put a stop to it, and it's good. I'm happy about it. Back in the day, 20 years ago, you'd have people constantly beating on your door, begging you for money and everything else, and I'm glad that it's not that way anymore. I should upload a video of young Kenny. I don't have one, guys. I got some images. Maybe okay, I'm going to be posting a song pretty soon, and I'll tell you what, I've got an old song, an old picture of me and my band playing a gig it was in the 90s, and I was just skinny crackhead Kenny, and I'll use that as the image for that, just for you. I'm going to have to get off here pretty soon, and I will play us out with a song. Hamster, uh, I am going to put up a song. I'm going to put up another song. I was going to try to do it today, but I just didn't get to it. Yeah, Lorenzo, Hyliion will get some short haul stuff. I mean, it's not about like everybody tries to pit Tesla and Hyliion against each other and pit Tesla and CCIV or Tesla and NIO. There's plenty of room for everybody, okay? Really, seriously, like there's plenty of room for everybody in the short haul and the long haul space. There's plenty of room for more companies. So we don't have to be either or. I'm invested in both. I believe in both. I think that Tesla is going to do really well in the short haul. I think that Hyliion will probably do well in the short haul as well. And in the long haul, I don't think Tesla's going to really do anything in the long haul. So Hyliion has an advantage over them in that way, in my opinion. But I think that there's plenty of room in the short haul for both companies. I mean, think about it. Tesla's not going to be able to produce very many of those trucks. And Hyliion, you know, unless they end up doing a big deal, which I hope with some companies, they're not going to either. But here's the thing: if Hyliion is able to make a deal with these OEMs to put them out as stock, Hyliion will beat Tesla, okay? Because Tesla's got to make the whole truck, okay? Hyliion doesn't. Hyliion's not even manufacturing a lot of the stuff. Like they're outsourcing and stuff. So if Hyliion gets to the point where they have deals with these manufacturers and people can just do what they've always done and every couple years put in their order of trucks from Freightliner and their order of trucks from Peterbilt and get them with the ERXs, dude, that they're going to dominate. I mean, long haul, short haul, whatever it is. I mean, if they make that deal. Now, who knows if they're gonna get there real quick or what. Martin, they said they'd sell 2,500 in 2022. That's not unrealistic to me. I wouldn't be surprised if it was higher than that. I didn't miss any super chats, did I? No, I didn't. How about them super chats? I hope some of y'all joined the Patreon during this. I agree, Thomas. I think that the truck companies will want to work with them. That Peterbilt and Freightliner will want to be the first ones to be able to offer it. You know. It's only a matter of time. Everybody knows that the writing's on the wall and electrification is coming. So, well, I'm willing to bet that these OEMs will be interested. Whether they can strike a deal or not, that's a different issue. Yeah, hamster cigarette's good for you. Caresses the heart and the lungs. Here's the deal. My family all dies are in their mid-70s. Doesn't matter if they smoke or they don't smoke. My grandpa quit smoking in his late 20s. Died of pancreatic cancer. My grandma smoked, died of some other kind of cancer. It wasn't lung cancer. My grandma on my other side smoked till she was 90. It's like everybody in my family dies of cancer, so fuck it. You know what I mean? I've tried to quit, but fuck it. Thank you, Grant. $10 New Zealand. I don't exactly know how that translates, but thank you, sir. I appreciate that $10. Oh, it's actually 10 American. I see. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Very helpful to me. And it means a lot. It means a lot that you guys like the content enough to hang out with me in the live stream and give me some super chats and, all that stuff, man. It means a lot to me. Investing, yeah. It's genetic, you know what I mean? If you're going to get cancer, you're probably going to get it no matter if you smoke or not. You're just probably going to get it somewhere else. I'm not a doctor. I've tried to quit. I got vapes right here that I use sometimes, and I tried and tried to quit, but I've been smoking 3 packs a day for like shit 30 years. So it ain't easy to quit. I mean, it's hard as fuck, especially when you're out here on the road and you ain't got nothing to do but just be alone by yourself, driving down the road smoking cigarettes. I mean, I'm just, it's one of my only joys. I can't smoke weed no more, so it's one of my only joys anymore. And I'm going to just, maybe one day I'll be able to quit. My foot problems are not from cigarettes, Andrew. My foot problems are from diabetes. Cigarettes don't cause foot problems. Don't be a doctor. Don't be a fucking doctor. You go into the doctor, and no matter what's wrong with you, the first fucking thing they say is, you need to quit smoking. That's what do. Fuck all y'all, with all that shit. It always reminds me of that episode of South Park where there's something going on and there are all these protesters and they're like all over this motherfucker, and then one of them turns around and goes, hey, he's smoking a cigarette, and they all fucking run over to the person smoking a cigarette. That's what it always feels like. But whatever, everybody's got their vices minus cigarettes, so it is what it is. Well, Andrew, then that's the exception, not the rule. That you had foot problems because of cigarettes. That's not common, so. Well, I'm gonna have to get off here. I'm about to have to go and pick up this load. Man, I really appreciate you guys all hanging out with me. I don't know when I'm back on again investing. I don't know from day to day if I'm going to have internet access, and I don't always feel like I have a lot of stuff to talk about without just like devolving into talking shit and bullshitting. So I'm going to play a song, play us out. This one's about, it's from 2012. It's called Freedom. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Tip your musician. Throw me a super chat while we're on our way out. Rewind that. Throw me a super chat while we're on our way out. And consider joining the Patreon. And man, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's called Freedom. And I played all the instruments and vocals. You don't have to let them take you, even though they're trying to make you. You don't have to let them shake you. You don't have to let them break you. Shake you, even though they'll try to make you, even though they'll try to take you. Cause freedom goes like Patreon. So that was Kenny on vocals, Kenny on backup vocals, Kenny on lead guitar, Kenny on rhythm guitar, Kenny on bass guitar, and Kenny on the drums. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to put that Patreon link down in the description, but if you go back to my last video, it's in the link of that description if you want to join. I would really appreciate the support, and thanks for watching. Investing Genius, you just go back to my last video and look in the description, and there is a link there. And after this comes back up, the link will be in the description of it. I appreciate your interest in it. Yeah, guys, join the fucking Patreon. Join the fucking Patreon. Thanks for watching.